The Royal Bank of Canada has signed a deal to purchase the Canadian division of multinational bank HSBC for $13.5 billion. Now, the deal is still subject to regulatory approval, but what happens to the rights of employees in the event of a sale of this kind? Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero joins us now. Alex, maybe let's start with the clearest question, the most basic question. Is RBC obligated to keep on some of those previous employees from HSBC if the sale goes through?
It's an important question, Matt, and this is always an interesting situation where there's the purchase of a business like this, or a merger, or again, a purchase and sale. Employees' rights are going to be impacted. And so to answer that question, it is possible that RBC not offer employment to some of those HSBC employees. They have no legal obligation to necessarily offer all employees employment. Now, of course, those HSBC employees that haven't been offered employment, they are owed severance from HSBC. They're not guaranteed continued employment with RBC, but they're certainly owed severance in the ordinary course of things based on their age, position, and years of service. It becomes even more interesting, Matt, those employees that continue on with RBC, what their rights are, what their entitlements are when it comes to the terms of their employment and even potentially their severance entitlements.
Right, and I guess too, so can employees, so a couple of things. Let's start with the point you just mentioned. So if the people and employees stay on with RBC, clearly there'll be lots of crossover and clearly, doubling up, but can they expect that their job description, that other things will change under a new owner?
Yeah, so a couple of points there, Matt. So number one, if those employees are continuing with RBC, despite the fact that their employer is changing, the name on the paycheck is going to change. But importantly, their tenure carries on. So all of that tenure that they have with HSBC counts towards their employment now, their continued employment with RBC. So they keep their years of service, they keep their tenure. Now, to your point, it is true that a lot of times in the context of a merger or purchase and sale, there is going to be layoffs, there are going to be changes to the terms of employment. And in that respect, again, we're talking about severance. In the event of a layoff, employees are owed severance based on their age, position, and years of service. Severance entitlements are significant. It's not 1 or 2 weeks per year of service. It's a common misconception out there when it comes to severance.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to changes to the terms of employment, it is also important to remember this is another protection and right that employees have. That an employer is not allowed to make significant or fundamental changes to the terms of employment. So those employees that are carrying on with their employment, they do have a right to a large extent to continue the same terms of employment, or at least approximately the same terms of employment that they had with HSBC, with the purchasing company, in this case with RBC.
My last one, and quickly too, Alex, too. So who becomes responsible for the severance if those employees don't continue on to RBC? Is it HSBC or is it RBC as a taking over company?
So it depends on who your employer is at the time that you're let go. So if you never work with RBC because your employment is terminated prior to the closing of the purchase and sale, then HSBC owes you your severance, no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
If you do end up working through that purchase and sale and you are employed at some point by RBC, they become your employer. They owe you your full severance entitlements if they decide to let you go based on your total years of service, not just the time with RBC.
Some of the intricacies as all these things get interlapped. It's interesting to break it all down. Alex Lucifero, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for this, sir.
My pleasure, man.